No, you guys fire away.
Dowell on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being drastic changes, 1 being just going to stay with what you have and coach them up. Where are you guys when it comes to the offensive line and looking at the problems?
Yeah, well, there's still definitely personnel issues that we're still talking through, which we told you guys about. We made reference to last week about there were still some things open, and obviously when you play that way, no one was happy with it. Starting with myself and Coach Beamer and Coach Teasley, it wasn't good enough. The game starting one up front, and we didn't do enough obviously up front to help us. And we're going to continue to work through things. We're going to put the best 5 out there, and we got to, as coaches, we got to do a better job coaching them up and helping them different ways that way. But that is definitely that whole problem from last week is being addressed as we go. And it'll be fluid. If it was an easy thing, then it wouldn't have happened last week. But it's going to be a process.
How did those issues limit y'all from what you wanted to get to from a play calling scheme standpoint on that?
Well, look, we're very fortunate because we have number 7. And he's spaghetti sauce. He covered up a lot of issues in that game, and to play the way he did and go 30 of 39, complete 77% of his passes, and he wasn't Charlie Checkdown either. He averaged 9.1 a completion. But how about the fact you don't turn the ball over and you sack 9 times? And I think we had 18 pass disruptions, which are tip balls, hit quarterback pressures where he got away. But you can't ask someone to play that way every week without help. And the way you get great quarterback play is get the other 10 guys to do their job. So we have an eraser at quarterback that played really, really well and gutsy as any performance I've been a part of, but we got to help him. We got to help him as a coaching staff. We got to help him as an offensive unit. Obviously when you get left-handed and it's like, hey, it's on you, 7. Like, you're going to have to make every decision, every throw. Like, the run game has been taken away. We're not protecting the way we want to protect. And 7 and 17 stepped up and played well, and there were a lot of other guys that played well. And it definitely limited and changed the dynamics of the offense. But it is what it is, and you got to find a way to squeak those things out. We need to finish in the red area. We got down there 3 times and then put ourselves in the negative plays hurt us. And that's what happens when you don't control the line of scrimmage up front. What happens is everything goes on the quarterback and wideouts, which they're good enough to handle that. But then all of a sudden it's like there was a 1st and 10 on the 11. So one play I would say, hey, Spencer, like, throw the ball away. And scrambles to your left normally end in injury or turnovers. So throw it away. So it was the 1st and 10 on the 11, and he had to scramble. He's pushed his left, and we ended up taking a sack on. You put yourself behind the chains, and it's just hard to overcome a 4th, and you're going for it on 4th and 18 and 4th and 22. The percentages of making those are very low, and you can't put yourself in those situations. And so on top of cleaning up some of the stuff up front, we got to clean up some other things. I think we had 6 penalties, and we hurt ourselves. We missed a block in the red area that Juju had his chance to go one-on-one down there, and we missed a perimeter block, and they hit us and probably had 5 or 6 more yards. It was going to play a bang play at the goal line, and next play we get a holding call or a sack. I can't remember what it was, but it's those little things that the pressure starts to mount, and it falls back onto your quarterback. And the way he played and the way he handled it was unbelievable.
Kind of following up on what you said about trying to help him more, protect him more.
Yeah.
Do you feel like y'all could have done more that way as far as whether moving the pocket, trying to change the?
Yeah, I mean, so we always look at that stuff. We threw 3 screens, 3 sprint outs. We changed we cross protected. We ran some 3 steps. We ran empty, which in that point, 3-step and empty is a run play to me. So we did change the launch point, and we ran a variety of protections to protect against that stuff. So we're looking at everything that way.
Second quarter, you got a little bit of momentum going, got the quick touchdown drive. Was there anything you saw in that drive that you think might be able to carry into next week and beyond, and kind of what didn't happen after that as maybe North Carolina adjusted?
Yeah, I think the first down efficiency, there's no adjustments. What they showed on tape is what they showed all, the whole game. But it was the first down efficiency, getting the ball in play. And when we got the ball in play in those 2 drives on the first down, and then you're able to do some things that control the game the way you want to control, and you're staying out of 3rd and 11s. I think we had 10 3rd and 7 pluses. And, at that point, it came a point in the game when it was like, all right, it switches from trying to play balance to say, like, no, go win the game. Like, put it on 7, go win the game. Like, I think we called back-to-back 2 runs for no gain, and there was some stuff there. And the first one we got beat. The second one was we had a run that the running back probably didn't get the most out of it. And at that point, I was like, hey, if we're getting back in this game, it's going to be because of number 7.
Dell, I know there's no consolation prizes, but based on what Spencer was able to do under the pressure that he was under on Saturday night, going back and watching the film, is there anything that you watched and said, all right, look, if we're able to clean certain things up, I really like the direction that this offense could head in?
Yeah, I was really fired up the way 7 and 17 played. I mean, I think that I saw something last night, or one of the coaches told me that he had 169 yards for the season. He had 178 yards for one game. But you know what? That started the day I got here, and I watched bowl practice, and then came back when the kids came back in January. 17 hasn't missed one practice. He goes that way every day, all through spring, all 15 practices, every day of fall camp. So when guys practice like that, it's no surprise they show up and perform in the biggest moments, in the biggest stages. So yeah, I think that we've got good skill guys, and 3 obviously tried to go and wasn't able to go as long as he would like to go. And that'll be a process getting him back out there some more and more and more as we go. But for us, that's a really good player that we didn't have, and there's some things that Harbor missing some practice. Like that affects young players now. Like you can say whatever you want. In my coaching career I coached in the NFL for 17 years. I've never seen people miss practice and go out and play well. It just doesn't happen, and especially young people. So for those guys to be able to practice and continue to grow, it's going to be a process. This is, I said last week, if we win or lose, like we're going to play next week. And this week now happens to be the biggest game in the schedule. And we lost a game in a very unfortunate, disappointing way to all of us. And we have a lot to play for. We have pride. Our guys have pride. They practiced well. Tuesday was a much better practice than last Tuesday. Today was a better practice. We got I think Coach Beamer said there were 19 players that played for the first time in the game, and maybe 13 or 16 on offense, defense. You have to check the numbers, but like those guys learn how to practice. Like it's a game week, and you're practicing that, and like the intensity of a game week and those things. So like we need to be the team that keeps getting better week to week, and we have a lot to grow on. Am I optimistic about where we can go? Yes, I'm excited about our passing game. Do I think that up front we're still a work in progress? Yes, I do.
In terms of the run game, I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit of both, but how much of the issues do you attribute to, DK, the running back, just not being super experienced versus the lack of protection? It
is a good question, and the truth always lies somewhere in between. I feel like you knew that when you asked the question, but it does. Like the difference between offense and defense is offense to gain 4 yards and have an efficient run, it takes 11 guys doing their jobs. On defense, it takes one guy to make a tackle. And that's the part where we're not good enough right now. And that falls on us as coaches, and our players need to take responsibility for it as well. But it starts and ends with us, and we got to make sure that that we're doing everything we can to help these guys be efficient. And it was DK's first game at running back. It definitely was, for sure. And a really hard game to go into, and we wanted to play better up front than what we did for him. But he could have played better, just like Spencer could have played better. Like Get could have played better. There were things that both of them, as well as they played and as good as their stat line looks, like there's things they can clean up as well. So it's all 11.
Dowell, just kind of sticking with the run game, what can you do from a coaching standpoint, whether it's run replacements, different schemes, different personnel in it to kind of get that thing more efficient?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, like there are going to be games when you say, hey, a 3-step or empty is a run play, or a screen is a run play. Like that's the way I look at it. And that in that game, I don't know how many hitches we threw or how many quick game. I think I do know. I know exactly how many we threw. So all of a sudden you put another 7 or 8 plays on there that are 9, and you're averaging 9.1 attempt. Like that's a pass. So then as the game went on, those 3 steps became and empties became run plays. Now, can you live that way? No. But you play each game, well, you got to do whatever you got to do to find the formula to help you to try to win, and that was the formula in that one. As coaches, you go back and you look at everything. You look at why are we not successful? Was it one-on-ones? Were our combinations? Did we lose one-on-one battles? Were our combinations not good? Did we run into the right looks? Did we run the play that we wanted to the shade? Is it better to the 3? Are we accounting for down safeties, digging out safeties by the wide receivers? Are we running enough play action pass to make sure that we're holding the backside end? Are we moving the pocket enough? Like you look at everything. And that's the process of this week, is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure our players are put in a situation to be successful.
Shane mentioned yesterday that Furman's secondary is really good at producing turnovers. How do you, as a coordinator, kind of look at different ways that you can put the wide receivers and the running backs in positions to make successful plays, despite the fact that, Shane called Furman's secondary very disruptive? How do you kind of manage that?
They are disruptive, and I think that process started last week. If you said, hey, what do you take from the game last week outside of 7 and 17 playing at such a high level? I would say, after all that, you don't turn the ball over. And if you, I wish you could plug this. If you just plug the stat line into the and the analytics of the game, it's like, hey, you're +2 in the turnover ratio. And then you're really +3 because then you surprise onside and get the kickback. So now you're +3. I think we're 3 of 5 in the red area. And we had the two drives that we got knocked down. We had a third one down there, and like you look at it, and you're like, if you said just on ball security and those things analytically, you're probably winning the game if you just look at the stat. Your quarterback completes 77% of his passes, and that's including 3 drops and 2 throwaways, and 9.1. Like, you're probably going to win the game. And that, so now you look at it and you say, all right, the positive outside of 7 and 17 where you didn't turn the ball over. And if you don't turn the ball over, you should be in the game in every game. And so what do we do to do that every day? We started this process when I first got here. We do ball security every day. We take care of the football that way. We keep harping on Spencer about going the right place and the timing of the play with the ball. And then when things do break down, you protect the ball and you make smart decisions. And punting is okay, and ending every series with a kick is okay. And sometimes it's just the messaging and the emphasis you put on it in practice can be the biggest thing to turnovers.
So we've talked a lot about players having their first games in Charlotte the other day, but you also had your first game here with South Carolina. How do you feel like it went for you personally? Is there anything you want to change about game day operations or anything like that?
Anytime you lose, like, you look at everything, and it's hard to find anything out of losing. I'd rather win close and play sloppy than lose. Like, there's nothing good about losing. And I don't know how much you learn out of it. You look at everything, you go back through. And most of the time when you do lose a game, you're harder on yourself than when you win. Sometimes when you win ugly, you sweep things under the rug. So now when you lose, like, I hope that we have that same intensity whether we win or lose every week about correcting, fixing, looking for better ways. And so in the process, like, we self-scout everything, and we have after-action reports on everything as far as how's the headset work, how's the communication on game day between the coaches, how did we feel about the being on the phone, being able to get to Spencer because I call the plays from the box, like the communication down to him through the phone lines and through the other position coaches that are down on the field with him. All those things matter. They're all really, really, really important in winning and losing, even though those don't show up on stat lines, but they are very important. So we lost, so I didn't perform well enough, and we'll continue to grow, but I was pleased with all the game day operation stuff, all that stuff.
Hey, Dowell, I was also going to ask you about game day operation, but I had a secondary question too, is that some of the North Carolina folks thought that they may have seen some tendencies during the game, whether those were real or not. Have you guys gotten your report yet?
Yeah, we have. I don't know what tendencies they would have since this was my first game here. So obviously, do I think there was some stance stuff with the offensive line? Yeah. Do I think there's some things we need to clean up that way? Sure. I could also tell you that we watched the tape as well, and there were a bunch of times when they were pointing to the air saying, hey, it's a pass. It wasn't. And also, I would say every time you're down 31-14, I would expect a pass as well at the time of the game. We look at that stuff hard. We have our defensive staff look at running back sets, offensive alignments. Is a guard kicking back too much? If he's pulling, is a running back's alignment? Is he straddling the tackle and he's free releasing? Is he straddling the guard and it's the inside zone? Like, we look at everything. So I don't know, obviously they feel good about it. I think I would contribute more to execution versus seeing, that I don't think I think that gets a little overblown personally, especially in a first time. Our offensive line coach is also new. I'm brand new. We had a bunch of brand new players. So, I don't know, maybe they saw something in Jackson Hughes' stance that he wasn't here last year either. So, that's, to me, we need to play better. That's what it comes down to. Like, is there stuff like that? Do we self-scout? Richard, it's Richard, right? Yes, sir. Do we look at that? We look at that very hard. We have our defensive GAs, our defensive analysts look at that as well. Hey, anything you find, and we'll do that every week. But this was a game about execution and us not playing the way or coaching the way we need to coach or play.
Yeah, with the understanding that everybody can do a little bit more, was there anybody on the offensive line who graded out individually that you were pleased with?
You know what? Like, here's what I was pleased with, and it's a tough question. But you know what? We cause these tough questions because we didn't perform the way we wanted to and need to. You win and lose as an offensive line playing through through one set of eyes, 5 guys playing through one set of guys. So like, you collectively, I could sit here and praise individual guys, and there were some guys that I will give them credit. They stayed in the fight and they played hard. When you watch Rashawn and Nick G, like, they're cleaning out the pocket at the end of the game. They stayed in the fight. Like, they never lost their belief or their will to win. They didn't. They played hard. That's what they're expected to do, but that's what they did. But when you play like that way, and it's not just the offensive line, like, it's the coaching staff, it's the offensive line, it's running backs, it's quarterbacks, it's wide receivers, it's tight ends, like, all of that contributes into a sack. All of that contributes into a negative run or a non-efficient run. So we win and lose as a group. I would say we all failed because that's the way it is. Like, that's if someone played in the game, we didn't do our jobs. We didn't coach well enough. We didn't play well enough, and we need a great deal of urgency to fix that now. This is the biggest game of the season for us because it's the next one, and we have a lot to play for. We need to clean some stuff out. We need to get this nasty taste out of our mouth as fast as possible. And that's why practice this week tomorrow is really, really important because we just got the practice, so we need to clean this tape up and get going towards next week. We need to help not just our offensive line, but our running backs, our tight ends, our quarterbacks as a coaching staff, and we got to clean some stuff up and help these guys be successful. So all of them, like, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm blaming myself. If you want to blame someone, you put it on me. Like, it's my job to make sure these guys play well. But as a group, as a unit, we didn't play well enough. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys.